Good afternoon. On behalf of my fellow trustees, and in this our 181st year, I'm delighted to provide an update on the Society's work, in particular to emphasise that it remains as important as ever in upholding the welfare of the seafaring community. The end of this reporting period saw the start of the national lockdown associated with COVID-19, with trustees keenly aware of the profound effect this was likely to have on many working seafarers. I will outline the Society's response to this pandemic a little later, but would firstly like to report that over the last year we have made regular grant payments in 1,345 cases at a cost of £1.1 million, handled 650 new applications for assistance, taken on 78 new regular beneficiaries, completed 197 three-yearly case reviews. Notwithstanding the above, we are not able to help in every case, either because an individual's income is above our limits or they have insufficient sea service. One-off or crisis grants amounting to £297,000 were made to 481 people. This continues to be a rising trend and has a notable effect on the people involved, as reflected in a letter from a mariner in his 50s. He said, "Words cannot describe how grateful we are to you for your kindness and very generous help. The carpet has made our bedroom lovely and cosy, whilst the new bed has been a real godsend after 13 years of sleeping on what really is a clapped out unit." 91% of our expenditure, amounting to just under £1.8 million, was spent on charitable activities, which includes the cost of governance and administration. With incoming resources of approximately £1.6 million, 57% of which came from our investments, and total expenditure of just under £2 million, there was an operating deficit of £397,000. This deficit is in line with our longer-term investment strategy, which sees the overall value of our investments gradually reducing in line with the slowly reducing number of seafarers and seafaring families within the UK, thereby balancing the needs of current grant recipients against those of potential future beneficiaries. In essence, we remain committed to ensuring that we maintain sufficient funds to provide support to anyone who is in need and meets our criteria. Donations from our amazing supporters, including into our large collecting mines and in response to our Christmas, Easter and Seafarers Awareness Week appeals, was £193,000, which matches the remarkable level of support received last year. It is very important that we maintain diversity and hence resilience across our sources of income, because we believe that the support we provide will be needed for as long as we are an island nation. We must also recognise our reliance on the support of our major grant funders, Seafarers UK and Trinity House, without whom we would be unable to maintain the level of support we provide, to whom we are most grateful. Following last year's retirement of Commodore Laurie Hopkins RN and Captain John Hughes, we are sad to announce the retirement of another long-serving trustee, Mr George Greenwood. George joined the Society in 2004 and has been a fantastic supporter of our work, including diligent service as both Deputy Chair from 2011 to 2013 and Chair from 2014 to 2016. George's contribution will be sadly missed, but we wish him all the best for his retirement. We are, however, pleased to announce the arrival of 3 new trustees. Commodore Toby Williamson RN brings valuable experience of the maritime sector, having served for 34 years in the Royal Navy before assuming his current role as the clerk to the Worshipful Company of Fishmongers in 2017. Mrs Nikki Miller also has significant experience of maritime affairs, having come from a long line of seafarers in Cornwall, but also having been married to a naval officer. She also brings additional experience of her 15 years service with the Honourable Company of Shipwrights. Mr William Plant qualified as a chartered accountant in 1978 and subsequently served in senior roles for various major corporations. He has maintained a portfolio career since 2006, whilst also focusing on a wide range of other interests, including 11 years as the Honorary Treasurer for the British Dyslexia Association. William takes over from Mr. Richard Coleman as the Society's Treasurer. Trustees would like to express their sincere thanks to Richard for his 8 years' service as Treasurer, albeit noting that he remains a Society Trustee. So returning to more current events, the impact of COVID-19 has clearly been felt by people across the world. And whilst the virus itself is relatively indiscriminate, the financial impacts of the pandemic can vary wildly. There was much talk at the beginning of the crisis of coronavirus being a great leveller, but I think it is becoming increasingly clear that it's not. It is much, much harder if you're poor. In the weeks following the announcement of a national lockdown, the Society has seen significantly increased demand for its support, in particular from working mariners who were struggling to put food on the table and keep the lights on. It is becoming increasingly clear that the financial impacts will be with us for years to come, and our forthcoming challenge is to support those who are unable to manage the inevitable build-up of debt. In particular, helping to ensure families keep a roof over their heads as they try to cope with the effect of extended periods of significantly reduced income. To address this challenge, the Society has decided to make up to £1 million of funding available in response to COVID-19, which is directly aimed at providing financial support to UK merchant seafarers and fishers affected by the pandemic. Of note, this will be in addition to the Society's existing grant expenditure, which is predominantly focused on providing support to retired seafarers or those suffering with health issues. This new funding signifies a temporary change in the Society's spending priorities in recognition of the disastrous financial impact on working mariners. It also represents the biggest uplift in Society spending since World War II. I very much hope that the above has provided some useful insight into the Society's ongoing work, but also a clear indication of our underlying ethos, which remains cognizant of the longer-term needs of the seafaring community, but recognises that the impact of the current crisis warrants an exceptional response. We remain committed to responding to seafarers' needs and maximising the support provided to our beneficiaries. Our key aims for the coming year are continuing our enduring task of helping fishermen and mariners and their dependents in need, maintaining the rolling programme of 3 yearly reviews of beneficiaries' circumstance, finding new avenues to spread the word about our work to those who may need our assistance and to those who might wish to support us. Subject to affordability, we look to increasing our regular grant in line with inflation. And lastly, increasing our knowledge of additional sources of help, advice and assistance for those in need. I would like particularly to thank my fellow trustees for their commitment to the work of the charity and to the central office staff in Chichester, without whose skills, dedication and enthusiasm the charity would not run. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'll now hand over to our Chief Executive, Justin Osmond.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Osmond and I'm the Chief Executive of Shipwrecked Mariner'S. So before I provide you with some further information on our ongoing work, I thought it might be interesting to hear an update from someone who's been working on the front line throughout the COVID-19 crisis. Helen Lovell is our honorary agent in Brixham, but actually works for the Fishermen's Mission, who are one of our closest partners in delivering support to the maritime community. Now, some of you will no doubt be aware that the early months of 2020 were a financially challenging time for large numbers of fishermen due to significant storms and poor weather throughout the period. But this was soon to be made massively worse by the impact of COVID-19. Well, it's often said there's nothing like a crisis to make people pull together, and I think the next few stories not only demonstrate the importance of the support provided by Shipwrecked Mariners, but also demonstrate how a wide range of maritime charities, in particular the Seafarers Advice and Information Line, or SAIL for short, the Seafarers Hospital Society and the Sailors Children's Society, as well as many others, are consistently working together to ensure support is available to those who need it. Over to you, Helen.
Good evening, I'm Helen Lovell, Mission Port Officer here in beautiful Brixham, complete with seagulls as well for background noise. As you can see tonight, there's a lot of hive of activity happening with a lot of the day haulers coming in. A lot of the bigger beamers were in this morning when I was down the quay. It's really lovely to come and talk to you at your Shipwrecked Mariners AGM this year. A lot has happened during this year with the storms, as you know, and then being hit by COVID-19, which had a huge impact on our fishing industry here in Brixham and around the UK. So here in Brixham, for our fishermen, the export market practically closed overnight, and there were reduced days at sea because there just wasn't the demand for fish. Also, because many of the fishermen were in self-isolation, there was also a lack of crews to go to sea as well. We at the Fishermen's Mission here in Brixham had an increase in the number of calls that we were receiving from fishermen seeking financial help for basic things like paying for food, electric, home and hearth, and keeping that roof over their head and their family's head as well. Thankfully, in Brixham we engaged with our local community as well, with our town council, and as a community a lot of different agencies were able to work together, and we had food parcels going out, we had regular meetings that we still have now, and we worked together sort of getting help to those local families that really needed it. There's a couple of fishermen that I'd like to talk to you about today, where you, the Shipwrecked Mariners Society, along with your partners, have helped considerably during the COVID crisis. It's really lovely to be able to meet them down the quay now and speak to them and find out actually how well they are doing, and they are really, really appreciative of the support. The first fisherman I'd like to talk to you about comes from a long line of Brixham fishermen. He himself went fishing straight out of school, and it's in his blood, it's all he knows. His mum was involved in the Fishermen's Wives group when he was little, so the whole family has always been immersed in the fishing industry. He himself was struggling financially. He had rent arrears, his expenditure was outweighing his income every week. So he was really, really struggling and approached us at the Fishermen's Mission to ask for our help. We were able to signpost him, firstly to SAIL, who actually said his best course of action was to become bankrupt. So after that, we did a Form A for him, and we applied for assistance. You yourselves gave him £1,350. He also received help from SHS. As I was talking about previously with the local charities in Brixham, I was able to get him a regular food bank delivery, which he really, really appreciated. And only a few weeks ago, I met him down the quay and he was absolutely elated. And your support really, really took a weight off his mind when he was really, really struggling financially. The second fisherman I'd like to talk about is a young lad. He's also from a fishing family here in Brixham, and he unfortunately, or fortunately, he bought his boat just before the COVID-19 crisis hit. He came to us for advice and financial help because he was really struggling to pay for his bills and keep a roof over his head. One of the great initiatives that you had during COVID was that while people were applying for universal credit, if they didn't want to take the advance payment, which they didn't want to do because they didn't want to get in more debt, you and Seafarers Hospital Society offered the 4 weeks equivalent payment to them, which really, really helped. They also were really, really fortunate to receive the full amount of money from Sailors Children's Society and from the Royal Merchant Navy Education Foundation, and their son also received a free laptop. It's tradition here in Brixham and other ports around the UK that a new boat auctions off their first box of fish in aid of a charity. This particular fisherman auctioned his box of fish in aid of the Fishermen's Mission, and he raised over £200 for us, which was a really, really great amount of money, because I know that he was actually really struggling at the time to sort out his gear and get a good day's fishing in. So finally, I would just like to say a big thank you from the fishing community here in Brixham and also the Fishermen's Mission for all the support that yourselves, Shipwrecked Mariners Society, and all the other partners that you work with have given to our fishing community during COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Helen. So the year to April 2020 was another busy one for the Society. But who would have expected that one of our more mundane activities, which involved a move to a cloud-based IT system, would rapidly prove so critical to our ability to continue working in a COVID-19 world? Like so many businesses and charities, we recognised the need to protect the well-being of staff and trustees following the introduction of a national lockdown, but also recognised that our support was likely to be needed more than ever. Thankfully, our new IT system enabled us to swiftly adapt to working from home arrangements, and whilst our working practices will undoubtedly evolve as government advice changes, we believe we're in a strong position to respond to all emerging demand. In addition, our close working relationships with other maritime charities, particularly those I mentioned earlier, have become even closer over the last year, with a clear shared desire to work together to maximise the support provided to our collective beneficiaries. There's undoubtedly more we can do to innovate and collaborate, but I believe the intent across the sector and the current direction of travel is clear. So turning to our core work over the last year, the demographic of our regular beneficiaries remains broadly the same, ranging from 42 to 101 years old, but with an average age of 76. Approximately 49% have a fishing background and 33% have served in the Merchant Navy, with the balance having served in both. Some have also served in the RN. Regular beneficiaries reported that the top 5 specific uses for their grants, after general living expenses, were paying utility bills, household equipment, house repairs, clothing and holidays. For one-off grants, the average age of an applicant was 56, which has been steadily falling over the years. Many of the grants were awarded to those who were out of work and on job seekers allowance or employment and support allowance. On a more general note, we've been making awards for outstanding acts of skill and gallantry at sea since 1851. However, this year's awards have been significantly affected by the impact of the pandemic, particularly due to furloughing of large numbers of staff and the inability of remaining staff to address non-essential business. As such, the Society reluctantly took the decision to postpone this year's awards and include any deserving nomination as part of next year's activity. Trustees also took the decision to postpone some of the new initiatives, for instance our Digital Friend initiative, which were announced as part of last year's strategy review. Trustees remain committed to starting work on these as soon as it's sensible to do so, but this temporary postponement will ensure the Society can focus all of its resources on responding to the current crisis. Turning to other internal matters, our trading company's activities generated a modest profit of nearly £6,000, but more importantly, our loyal card buyers donated just under £118,000 throughout the year, an increase of over 13% on last year's donations. This is a truly amazing sum, which is clear testament to their ongoing generosity. In addition, we received further public donations of over £75,000, including over £5,000 from 21 of our large mines which were opened during the year. Special thanks are due to those honorary agents who look after them so well despite the ravages of time, sea air and occasionally vandalism. This year saw legacy income of £225,000, which is down on last year. However, we are always extremely grateful to those who remember us in this way and in so doing make a contribution to the welfare of future generations of fishermen and mariners. It would be wonderful if you would consider supporting us in this way. Our annual photographic competition, now in its 8th year, is run online to encourage a younger generation to consider supporting us and to celebrate our enduring relationship with the sea. We are once again very grateful to the Fishmongers Company for sponsoring this event. The competition attracted over 2,000 entries from nearly 650 individuals, with the judges looking to find winners in 4 different categories, as well as deciding on an overall winner. Before announcing these winners, I'd like to say a very big thank you to our expert panel of judges, former picture editor of the Sunday Times, Ray Wells, and picture editor of the newspaper, Sophie Batterbury, who have once again done an excellent job in selecting some stunning images. So the first judging category was Coastal Views, and I'm delighted to announce that this was won by Caroline Walker for her stunning image of a wave hitting Hyough breakwater. The next category, People and Recreation, was won by Katie Vincent for her serene picture Into the Mist. Very well done, Katie. Our third category, Ships and Wrecks, was won by Ian Butler with a striking image taken in Myla Harbour. And our last category, Industry, was won by Stephen Duncombe for his dramatic image To the Rescue, which captures the launch of the Cromer lifeboat. Well done to all our category winners who will be receiving their prizes in the post. But the overall winner of the competition was Lawrence Hartwell, whose atmospheric picture, Beam Trawlers Landing to the Fish Market at Night, was not only a beautiful image, but aptly represented the focus of a large proportion of our work over recent months. A very well done to you, Lawrence. Of note, many of the amazing pictures from previous year's competition are contained in our annual calendar, which is available from our online shop. So moving on. Our honorary agents, of whom there are 174, ranging in age from 35 to 92, are at the heart of what we do, whether it's casework, fundraising, or simply acting as a representative and spreading the word about us. And whilst I'd like to thank all of our HAs for their support over the last year, I'd also like to announce the winner of this year's Lord Lewin Awards, which are presented in recognition of an outstanding contribution to the Society's work. We have 3 winners this year, the first of which I'm very pleased to announce is Mrs. Janice Wilkinson, who's an honorary agent in the Tyne and Wear area. Janice's main role is a volunteer for the Soldiers, Sailors, Airmen and Families Association, commonly called SAFA, which she has done for 12 years, with primary responsibility as the divisional manager for North and South Tyneside. However, she's also one of our most diligent HAs, always keen to support application requests and completing approximately 40 of these each year. Her applications clearly demonstrate her understanding, compassion and unfailing commitment to those requiring support. Janice's professionalism and dedication has resulted in an exceptional level of support for our beneficiaries, and she's fully deserving of an award in recognition of her outstanding work. Thank you very much indeed for all you do, Janice. And the other winners of a Lord Lewin Award are Mr. William Jolly and Mrs. Elizabeth Johnson, who share responsibility as our honorary agents in Kirkwall. Billy and Liz are the son and daughter of William Jolly Sr., who loyally served as our honorary agent between 1954 and 1993. Billy and Liz then jointly volunteered to take over his duties, which they have done for the last 27 years. Their primary task is looking after the Larch Mine at the end of Kirkwall Pier, but they also arrange numerous events to raise additional funds for the Society, whilst also providing assistance to the survivors of several shipwrecks which occurred in the local area. As exceptionally committed and enthusiastic long-term supporters of the Society, Billy and Liz are thoroughly deserving of a special recognition for their outstanding efforts. A very well done to you both. So moving back to more current events, I was delighted by the trustees' decision to dig deep in response to the COVID-19 crisis. I believe our new £1 million response fund further reflects a proud tradition which now spans 181 years of responding to ever-changing needs. I'm therefore looking forward to playing my own part in ensuring much-needed support is available to individuals whose contribution to UK society is so often overlooked. And finally, I'd like to say a thank you to the entire head office team of Alison, Barbara, Sammy, Stephen and Sylvia for their unwavering support over the last year and their unswerving commitment to helping those we seek to support. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to know more about our work or you're interested in providing financial support to help us continue, please visit our website.